Choose a path, find a path, or get out of the way. Shah Ismail Khatai was born on June 23, 1487 in the city of Ardabil, Dar al-Shadi, which began its activity during the time of Sheikh Safavid and Ardabil, who lived at the turn of the 13th to 14th centuries, has become one of the most powerful centers of scientific and philosophical meetings in the entire Middle Eastern world. The Safavid movement, known as Qizilbashlik, was formed here and spread to many countries of the East. Sufis and Murids who came here with confidence supported Ismail's grandfather, Sheikh Junaida, and his father, Sheikh Haidar, and closely helped them to lay the foundation of a new state. Ismail's fighting at a very young age and the creation of a powerful Azerbaijani state in the future were the results of the centuries-long struggle of his grandfathers. Ismail belonged to a well-established family on his mother's side. His mother was the daughter of Uzun Hasan, ruler of Aguyemlu, Alamshah Bayem. The fact that the Aguyemlu established kinship ties with the Safavids was related to the growing influence of this dynasty. However, the relationship of the Aguyemlu with the Safavids did not remain stable. The increasing power of the Safavids made them afraid. Sheikh Haidar was brutally killed, and his wife Alamshah Bayem was put in prison in Istakhr along with his two sons Ibrahim and little Ismail. Rustam Mirza releases Sheikh Haidar's children from prison in order to use the Safavids in the struggle for power after the killing of Aguyemlu ruler Sultan Yaqub. Realizing their mistakes later, the White Sheep are unable to capture Ismail and his family again. Shah Ismail was educated by Lala Hussein Bey under the patronage of Hassan Khan, the judge of Jailan, and was brought up as a statesman. The name of the newly established state, Safavids, was taken from the name of Sheikh Safavid and Ardabil, who was the great-grandfather of Ismail, popularly called Sheikh Safi. In 1499, Ismail and his supporters decided to seize power. The battles for power among the White Sheep were the best conditions for this. Ismail and his supporters, valuing this favorable situation, moved towards Ardabil with a group of 70 people. Along the way, they are joined by many people from Ustaj, Takli, Gajar, Zulgadar, and Afshar tribes. They entered Ardabil, visited the mausoleum of Sheikh Safi, and talked about their future plans. Messengers are sent to warn the followers of the Safavid sect scattered in other countries and cities about the upcoming events. The main group, headed by Ismail, moves in the direction of Ganja, Karabagh, and Guecha Lake, passes through Chukhurst and arrives at the Saragaya Plateau. The gathering of Qizilbash gangs in Erzincan causes Ismail's supporters to flock to him. This event takes up to a year. The decision to march on Shirvan comes from the meeting in Erzincan. In 1500, Ismail faced an army of 7,000 with Shirvanshah Farik Yasar's army of 20,000 cavalry and 6,000 infantry on the Jabanu plain near Shamaki. Farik Yasar is defeated and wants to escape to Bugard fortress. On the way, he was caught and killed by Lala Hussein Bey's relatives. Later, the prisoners of the Shirvanshahs learned that that person was Farik Yasar. After this victory, the army of Qizilbash marches on Baku. The capital of the Shirvanshahs, Baku, was captured, and the Shirvan treasury was also captured. After that, Ismail is preparing to return to Shamaki with his army and capture the fortresses of Bugard, Gulustan, and Sirkap. The news of Alvin Mirza of Aguyemlu attacking Julfa during the siege of the Gulustan fortress prompts Ismail to return with his generals. The groups of Aguyemlu moving in different directions are defeated by the Golden Heads. The main battle between Alvin Mirza and Ismail takes place on the Shara plain near Nakhchivan. Although Alvin Mirza's army had cannons and rifles with the help of the Venetians, they were defeated. Alvin Mirza ran away to Erzincan with a small group. After this famous victory, in which the first goal of Aguyemlu was defeated, Ismail made his way to Tabriz. Here he declared himself king, laid the foundations of the Safavid state, and read a sermon in his name. After some time, Shah Ismail expands the borders of the Safavid state. In 1503 Mazandaran, in 1504 Yazd, Kerman, Fars, Kashan, in 1506 Maresh, Diyarbakir, in 1508 Baghdad, all of Iraq joins the Safavid dynasty. Even before Shah Ismail's army entered Baghdad, a sermon was recited in his name. During his stay in Baghdad, he takes great care of the shrines and destroys many robbery gangs. As it is known, during the Timurid period, many scientific and cultural figures and artists of Azerbaijan were exiled to the cities of Samarkand, Herat, and Bokhara. The victory of the Safavids over the Shaibanis made it possible for their children to return to their ancestral lands. At the beginning of the first quarter of the 16th century, the situation in Central Asia was not so good. On the one hand, Sultan Husayn Baigara was being harassed by his children, who were incited by his close servants, and on the other hand, by Shaibani Khan. In order to get rid of his enemies, he established friendly relations with Shah Ismail through his envoys. His sudden death in 1505 and Shaibani Khan's victory over his successor by trick changed the situation considerably. After conquering Khorasan and Herat, Shaibani Khan sent Shah Ismail malicious letters full of insults and threats. Shah Ismail, who twice sent messengers to Shaibani Khan's palace to try to settle relations, understands that it is impossible to settle relations peacefully with the Khan, who regards this generosity as cowardice. In 1510, Shah Ismail wrote a letter to Shaibani Khan, stating that he was preparing to visit Mashhad and was rapidly advancing towards Khorasan. Shaibani Khan, who received the news of this sudden march of the Qizilbash, takes refuge in the Mar fortress. Ismail convinces the Shaibanis that he has ordered his army to return using a military trick. Shaibani Khan, who came out of the fortress, was defeated and killed by the Qizilbash, who suddenly attacked. A large area starting from Khorasan and Herat to Badakhshan, Kabul, and Kandahar joins the Safavid rule. Herat becomes the second important center of the Safavids. Ismail's son Tahmasib is appointed governor of Central Asia with Herat as the center. Ismail stayed in Herat until the winter of 1510. The rapid development of the Safavids, they're becoming the strongest state in the region in a short period of time, and the widespread of the Qizilbash ideology among the population of the neighboring states, as well as the countries ruled by the Ottomans, caused those states to create a hostile attitude towards the Safavids. Shah Ismail treated the Ottomans cautiously from the early days of the Safavids until the beginning of the Battle of Chaldiran. Although the Ottoman Sultan Bayazid had a hostile attitude towards the Safavids at first, friendly relations were established between him and Ismail later. This is proven by the recognition of the Safavid state by the Ottomans in 1504. Selim, nicknamed Yavuz, who was the judge of Trabzon during these times, despised Sultan Bayazid's relationship with Shah Ismail. He saw the Gilded Head movement, which was gaining strength day by day in Turkey and gathered many supporters around him, as a dangerous force for the empire. That is why he decided to take decisive measures. As soon as Sultan Selim came to power in 1512, he began to strengthen his country internally. Despite the protests of Janissaries and many government officials, he compiled a list of Qizilbash, executed more than 40,000 of them, and branded some Qizilbash with a hot iron to teach them a lesson. After that, he gathers the religious representatives and issues a fatwa against the Golden Heads. After this preparation, Sultan Selim's army of 200,000 armed with firearms and heavy field cannons starts marching on the Safavids. Shah Ismail objected to the suggestion of a sudden attack on the Ottoman army camped near Maku in the dark of night with the answer, "I am not a bandit raiding a caravan." Finally, at dawn, two magnificent Turkish armies meet. The battle continues for 3 days. Despite the brave fighting of Ismail and his generals, who showed special bravery, the Ottomans won the battle. The seriously injured Ismail is removed from the battlefield. One of the main reasons for Chaldiran's defeat is due to Ismail's overconfidence in his own strength, thinking himself invincible, not listening to wise advice and making a number of tactical mistakes. On the other hand, the fact that Ismail did not prepare well for this battle and did not believe in the existence of a war with the Ottomans until the day of the battle is considered one of the reasons for his defeat. The heavy consequences of this first defeat of Shah Ismail are gradually showing themselves. Diyarbakir, then Erzincan, joins the Ottoman lands. Chaldiran's defeat deeply shakes Ismail, and after that he cannot regain his composure. Because this defeat was not an ordinary defeat. It meant the destruction of all his dreams. After the Battle of Chaldiran, Shah Ismail did not make any serious military trips until the end of his life. Shortly before his death, Shah Ismail felt tired and decided to go hunting. When Shah Ismail, who came to Sheki district, prepares to hunt Shadar, one of the local people tells him that the altitude will harm his health, but he doesn't care. Finally, during the hunt, his health problems arise. Shah Ismail, who is not feeling well, immediately returns to Ardabil. Due to the fact that the situation does not improve here, they leave for Tabriz immediately. Near Sarab, the situation gets so bad that they have to camp in Mangutai. Despite all the interventions, it is not possible to save the ruler's life. The outstanding statesman died on June 23, 1524. His commanders brought his body to Ardabil and buried him in Sheikh Safi Mausoleum next to his grandfather. Shah Ismail, who died at the age of 38, had to part with his dreams and aspirations for Azerbaijan. This struggle of Shah Ismail came from his desire to create a single state of Azerbaijan. He made the Azerbaijani Turkish language the state language and did incredibly great work in the political, social, economic, and cultural development of the country.